I must say it's a pretty beautiful site. So let's start cloning it. But yes, the mobile version. So I'll open the DevTools and switch to mobile version. So this is how it looks. It has 7 sections, with each one with a subheading, a heading, and then a button. We also have a simple SpaceX logo over here and a pretty beautiful hamburger menu. So we have 7 sections in all, and we have a simple footer over here. So let's get down with the HTML. Here I have my index.html running in the live server extension. So this is how we do it, right here, live server. And here I have some basic setup, like in static folder I've kept a CSS folder, font folder, and img folder. In the CSS I have a file that's main.css, and index.html I'm going to do some boilerplate code over here, that is just some normal HTML, and I'll give it a title, SpaceX clone. Alright, and I'll link it to our CSS, static css main.css. Alright, and just to check if it has linked and it's working, I'll do something like background red. Well, it should refresh. I've saved it, right? Yes. I'll refresh it manually. Yeah, so it works. Yeah. So now let's start the HTML. So first of all, I'll have a container for everything, and in that container we're going to have sections. Okay, and I'll give a class to the section that will be called panel. You can give anything that you feel good. So I'll make a section dot panel, and in that section we have a div that will hold this text and button. Okay, and we also have this nav and hamburger. I mean, the nav has a logo and a hamburger. Okay, so we're gonna make a nav, and then we are going to make sections which have a div.text in them. So here we'll have our nav, and a nav will have our logo, and since this logo is an SVG, it can't be downloaded by any Chrome extension, so I'll have to copy it from here. And I did not mention the Chrome extension, so I should mention it right now. So see here, if you click over here in Chrome, or if you're on any other browser, get an extension for it. It will be really good. So this is the extension, download all images. Now if you download this extension and use it, it will download all the images for you, and it will make a zip file. I think I have pasted all of my images in here. Yes, I have. So if you extract the zip file and take all the images out, you could paste them in here and then use them. Okay, it's as simple as that. So you don't have to just click copy each and every image. That will be really convenient, right? So in our nav, I'm going to paste our logo, copy the element, go over here, paste it. Now I'm pasting it directly in our HTML because I want to alter it with our CSS. And if you keep it in a separate SVG file, it will be good for organization, but you cannot edit it with your CSS. Okay, so paste it right in, and then I'm gonna go to iconseed.com to get some not some logos. I just want a hamburger icon. This is an awesome site. Like if you just search for hamburger, I'll show you. If you search for a hamburger icon, and I should have searched for menu. actually. So I think this one is the most similar to the SpaceX logo. I mean the SpaceX hamburger icon over here. Just we have to change the color. So these are the features I was talking about. They are really great. You can give it an overlay, you can add text, you can do a lot of things. So yeah, great website. So go to recolor and click on white and click on embed HTML. Oh, I'll have to log in. Wait, I'll log in. So now after I hit embed HTML, I get this this window, and then I can click to copy the content. It gives me an SVG, and yes, I'm gonna paste it right in here. Paste it, save it. Since I have the prettier extension, it will prettify it and it looks good. Now we have our SpaceX logo and also our hamburger menu. Now we need a dot text div in here, which will have the content that we're looking for. That is the h3 over here and an h1 over here. And how did I get that? Just if you inspect it, you get it h3, h1 and other things. I'm just gonna copy all of the HTML and yeah, I'll be right back. So now I'll go through the code that we have here. So just look at the section that I've selected, and in that section we have a class of panel, and in there we have a div with a class of text, and inside of that div we have an h3 that says upcoming launch, h1 that says Starlink mission, and an a with a class of button, that's a link with a class of button that says update. So let's see how it goes. Upcoming launch, Starlink mission update, and all of the things that are written over here and here. I've copied them all. Okay, and now we're going to do something well, I think, let's see. Yes, I should mention that not everywhere they just have h2s and h3s. They also have paragraphs and everything, so you'll have to manage it. I mean, you'll have to copy it. So, and by copying I mean I've just copied the text from here, pasted it in h2s and h3s. So one thing that I need to show you here is the 6th and the 7th section of this website are like quite a bit responsive. Okay, so when you just go over, I think 600 pixels in width, the image pops on the right and the text on the left, and a similar thing happens over here. So the image is on the top of the text right now, and if I increase it, it goes right on the right of the image. Okay, so to do this we need to make columns and rows like we do in Bootstrap, right? So to do that I have made a few changes over here. As you can see, I'll just make some space. So here I have the panel I was talking about, and here is the div class of call image, that's a column image, and this is the div class of call text, that's the column text. Now we're going to select both of those and turn them into columns which come on either side of each other when we increase it past 600 pixels. Okay, it's, if you have worked with Bootstrap, if you have made some responsive designs, you know it already. This panel class, it's going to be kind of a row, so I'll give it a class of row. I haven't done that yet. I'll do it now. So these two, the 6th and the 7th sections, should have a class of row, and the divs inside them will have a class of column image and column text, and even here we have a column image and a column text. So yeah, let's see how we handle it. Now since the major HTML is done, we can move on to CSS, and I'm ignoring the footer, but yes, we can add that later. Okay, so let's start with getting our nav in place. Okay, that would be a good place to start. So right now we just have the SpaceX thing over here, the SpaceX logo stretching all the way across our screen, and here if I want to show you, here we will have, wait a second, yes, it's right here, the SVG. So here is our hamburger menu, okay, and I should keep it in this mode, that is the I'll switch to iPhone X. It's kind of a less wide device, so if it works on iPhone X, then it will work on many other things. You can even switch to iPhone 5, which is even, you know, even less wide, but yes, iPhone X is good enough. So let's get started. Go to our CSS, main.css. We have linked it properly. First of all, to get started, we'll do some boilerplate code like, you know, removing the margins and padding, because the default margin can just mess up your design. And we'll do a box sizing of border box. Now here in the nav, I don't have a class on our logo or our hamburger, so I'll give them classes. That will be a class of logo. You can even give an ID, it would be good, but yes, classes work as just as fine. So a class of I'll say ham. I'll save it and then go to our CSS and I'll select the logo first. So I'll give it I think a width of 13 or 12 or 13 rems should be fine. Width should be 12 rems. Let's check it. I think reduce it. It's kind of trial and error, okay? So just do it and see which one looks just like the one that we're working on. So you can even go here, inspect it and do other things, but you don't have to, okay? So the next thing that I'm gonna do is select our nav. I should have done that before actually, and I'm gonna give it a display of grid and I'm gonna do a grid template columns of what should we do? Let's see the site. Well, I think it should be 90 and 10. Let's just check it out once. 90%, 10%. Grid template areas, and I'll give it an enter here, and I'll say it will be logo space ham, and I'll give them grid areas logo, and I'll select the dot ham, that's our hamburger menu, and give it a grid area of ham. Let's save it, and I'll give it a background color for a while. Okay, so we get our SpaceX logo over here and our ham over here. Let's inspect it and see our grid. So the dotted lines that you see, that's our grid, and yes, I think it looks really cool. Just we have to center our SpaceX logo and that will be fine. So to center it, I'll say I'll go to nav and say place items, center, save it, and then refresh. It will refresh automatically actually, but yes, it has centered it. So now our SpaceX logo is centered within the 90% of the 90% column, and our hamburger is also centered within the 10% column, so it looks great. Now let's add a bit of padding to our columns, I mean our grid areas. Well, I just noticed that our logo is kind of off center because we are just making a 90 and a 10 partition, I mean a grid, and then centering it into the 90%, but that's not looking similar to this one. They are just centering it very perfectly in the center of the viewport, and this has a margin, I suppose. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna do the place center thing, but before that I'm gonna give a margin top to this nav. So go to the nav and give a margin top. So our margin top is gonna be 0.7 rems. Do whatever feels looks appropriate. So 0.7 rems, I think it's perfect. And for this logo, to center it, I'm gonna do something else. So I'm gonna add a margin to it, and I'm gonna use the calc function. Now if you haven't used the calc function, don't worry, you're gonna learn something awesome, and don't be scared. It's just a bit of math. So calc actually calculates anything that you give in it. Okay, so I'm gonna set the margin and calculate it with respect to the viewport. Do you get that? So whenever we have 500 pixels of the viewport, then we are going to calculate the margins according to that, and when we have some smaller viewport, we're going to calculate according to that. So you can change the viewports and it will calculate it for you. So to do that, so we do 50 viewport width, that's the 50% of whatever the page you are on. Like if you look at this section that I'm selecting, that's 50%. Okay, now we're going to subtract half of our element's width from the 50% and give it as the margin. So you'll have to think about it for a while if you haven't done it before. Subtracted half of our logo's width from the 50% of our screen. So we are going to calculate that and assign it to margin left, so our logo is centered. Okay, now we're going to have a look at our text. Absolute, but for that our panel should be relative. Section.panel position relative, save it. This should be position absolute. Then we'll give it a bottom of 1.5 rems and a left of 1.5 rems. Let's see how it looks. Oh, in the right position, it's over here. No, it has to be on the right. All right, this one has to be in the left, 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 and left. Everything is on the left except the first one. The first one is on the right. Enough, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll just give a class to it. So our first section, in the first section's text, I'm going to give it a class of right, or I'll be more descriptive and give it a class of text right. I'll save it, go over here and just define text right. I'll say right is 1.5 rem. Well, I should copy all of this and remove the left. I'll save it. Well, I think this is a specificity thing. So turn it into an id text right. Save it. Now it will work. It doesn't work. Remove the class text. Save it. Oh, good enough. It works, I think. So id text right says that bottom is 1.5 rem, right is 1.5 rem, and what do we have here? Section panel is relative, good enough. Then why it's not working? Let's check it. Now that I've done a few tweaks, it works. I increase the specificity, that is section.panel div hashtag text right. So now it selects better, and now I've positioned it properly. But I think they have like more of a 10 rem thing on the bottom and 3 rem thing on the right. So I'll do that. 10 on the bottom, and let's do 5 on the right and check it. I think 3 on the right was a good one. Let's save it and check it. Yes, looks good. Now we can work on the text, but before that I'll just want to get done with the images and everything. Now this text is positioned appropriately, but it does not have images, so let's put in all the images. But where is our nav? Where is our nav? Well, it's here. We need to give it a z index of more than 1. Let's do it. Z index of 5. Save it, refresh it. Fine. Now I'll work with the images, and here I have selected the first panel. In a similar manner, I'm going to select the second panel, third panel, fourth panel, and so on. I'll just duplicate it, 1 2 3 4 5 6, because we have 7 of them, and then do the 2 3 4 5 6, and we have a 7. Now we can remove this background. No, we cannot actually. I've tried that. I thought that I should remove this background position and background size and place it in section.panel, but I think it does not work. Let's try it once more. Save it, and let's see if the first panel works right. Well, it doesn't. The first one doesn't work right. Second one does, third one does. Well, the first one, it's messed up. So let's not remove this. I'll just place it over here. Repeated code, wet code, doesn't matter. I'll have to change these images and we'll be done. The second image is, let's go and check it. The second image is Southcom mission. The third is a Crew Dragon returning from space station. Let's do those. Southcom 1B, that's right. And this one, Splashdown, that's his name. So how do I know these names? I've just gone through the images before this video, so yeah, I know all of those. And the other one is Starship Liftoff. After Splashdown we have Starship Liftoff, and then we have humans returning to the US. Good. Humans returning to the US, and I think that's it. Let's see. Humans. For 6th and 7th we don't have a background image. It should be something like home moon, home demo. What should it be? Let's do something like, oh, wait. I think it's home moon. Maybe. We'll save it and see. It should be this. Go to the clone and check it out. It's not home moon. Home moon is this one, and that's not right. It should be something else. I'll have to check it. Well, I found that it was home demo 2. Don't worry about that. And we have 6th and 7th. They don't have a background. Remove those. Save it. And section panel has a background of black. Background black. Save it. And then we can go over here and check things out. We just have to work on the text now. Let's see. Yes, we have to position it right. It's not that 1.5 and 1.5 anymore. It should be something like this. Well. Yes, it looks good. And it looks really great on this black background. They've just done a wonderful job. So let's work on the text before we go and work on the these images. They need some special attention over here. Well, when we inspect the text, we get to see that they don't have a normal text. They have something like, I'll have to show you over here. Yes, it is something like D-din bold. So download the D-din text, I mean the font, from somewhere, and you'll be good to go. And yes, you should copy this. Just if the D-din font is not present, it will use Arial, Verdana, sans serif or something like that. And if you don't know what this font 48 pixels by 45 pixels is, it is actually the font size by line height. So you don't have to do font family, you don't have to do font family, font size and line height. You can just do font and do it this way. The first thing is the font size, second thing is the line height, and the third thing is the font family. Okay, so since I've downloaded it, I mean the D-din bold, I'll just place it in our, what do we say that, our font folder, and then give a reference to it. And I can copy this thing, the font thing, and just go to our HTML, or you can go to your body, that'll be good, or panel. Yes, I think panel is good enough. We'll paste it in here. So this is font D-din bold. I'll just say DDIN dash B, and it should be in quotes since I'm mentioning it from here. So I'll just move this down, and you have to do to reference a font face, no, to reference a font family, you have to do this thing at font face and give it a source. First of all, give it a font family. That will be the name you reference it by. Font family, it will be D-din. Put it in quotes, and you can now give it a URL. I'll just paste my fonts in the font file. I'll link it in the description from where to download it. Okay, now you can see here I've pasted the ddinbold.otf and ddin.otf in our font. Now if you're going to put the site into production, you should have at least a OTF or TTF and multiple files, so that if one is not present, the other works. So that's what we do generally with our videos and our photos. So do it with fonts as well. And our source will be a URL, and that URL will be referring to // font didn't bold.otf, and I'll duplicate it, and this one will be the normal didn't, and this will be, I think it is didn't.otf. Yes, that's right. Now when I come down here to our panel, section.panel, and give a font of didn't be, it means that all of it's going to be didn't be. But I think I should just put it in our body, because the thing that's not in our panel is this thing, that is the nav and its items. They're not in our panel, and they have a font of didn't bold. No, yeah, they have a font of didn't bold. The h3 is didn't medium, that's regular, and this is didn't bold. So this is regular, whereas this is bold. So this is bold as well. So we can just select the h3s and make them regular, and select all the everything else and make it bold. Okay, so I'll select my body, and paste the font in there, and select h3s and paste my font in there without a B. I'll save it, and let's check out our site if it works. Oh, well, I think it's didn't, but DDIN. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just saying didn't. Well, it shouldn't be this way. I'm pretty sure it's not meant to be this way. The only problem is that we haven't applied, what do we say? Not font, it is text transform. It should be uppercase. Save it, and now we should have it. Yes, we have it, but you know, the size and everything is not working, but we have the font. It's just not the normal one. I can see it. So if I just remove this, and do you see that? The Starlink mission, the update, they are not in DDIN, didn't, but this thing is. So the 4845, that thing does not work. We need something else. Let's go to the site. Let's do inspect on the smaller one. It is 34 by 34. It still says 48 by 45. But well, it didn't look good on ours. It's for H1. And what's for the H3? For H2 we have 34 by 34. And for H1 we have 48 by 45. I'll select the H1 and do it 48 by 45. And for our body, I'll just do a font family of didn't, bold, and everything. Remove this, select H1s, and put the font in there. So I've pasted it in H1, and for H3 I'm going to do a 34 by 34. I'll save it, and let's check it. No, that's not ours. This one is ours, but does it look? How does it look? It shouldn't be 34 by 34 actually. It should be smaller, as we can see here. We can just do this thing and check it. So the font size is 15 pixels. It's 34 pixels. and it's 14 pixels. Alright, 15, 34 and 14. So H3 should be 15 by 20, and this should be 34 by 34, and that should be 14, but 15 and 14 don't make a difference. I'll just do font size 15. No, by default it's 16, so it doesn't matter. I'll refresh it, and the color, I'll put color in the body. It should be white. Well, now that looks something similar, and I'll select the A tags and change the text decoration to none so that we don't get this ugly blue. And this should be on the right, right? Why is it on the left? Well, let's check it. I've selected the text right, and should be absolute, bottom 10 rem, right 3 rem. Text right, bottom, okay. Yes, it's working fine, but it just doesn't look like it's working, you know, because it is kind of in the center. But we don't have to worry about that. Now I think we can continue working and make the, you know, the button and everything. But I think there are a few more changes here. Like if you just inspect it, I think you can see that it's kind of more condensed than this. Yeah, this is the thing. Letter spacing -1 pixels. So let's copy that. Letter spacing -1 pixel, and I'm going to do it on all the body. And I think because, you know, it's everywhere. Letter spacing -1, and the H3s is also did in bold, I think. No, it doesn't look good. Do it just on the H1s. So now we just have to do a few things to get it right, like text aligning it to the right. So I'm going to go into text right, the ID text right, and I'm going to do the text align right. I'll save it, and here we get it. Text align right. Okay, that works. Now I'm going to work on the links, give them a border and everything. Well, actually, if you're on the, you know, desktop version of it, if you close the dev tools and hover over it, it just has a beautiful animation. But yes, on the mobile version, yeah, we don't need to animate because, you know, you don't hover over things, you just touch them or don't touch them. So there's no hover or something. We simply have to just give it a border, remove the blue color, remove the underline. That'll be fine. But something's missing. The margin. The H1 and H2s must have a margin bottom. So I'll select H1s and H2s over here. H1, H2, margin bottom of how much? 1 rem. Will that be good enough? 1 rem. Well, this looks more like 1.5 rems. Okay, that's cool. Now let's select the A tags. I'm going to make a section for buttons here. And here I'm going to do text decoration none. Color white. Good. Border 2 pixels. Solid white. And a padding of 1 rem, 2 rem, much more like 3 rem. Let's see. 1 rem, 3 rem, and how does it look over here? Over here. Let's just shrink it. The margin is bigger. Let's increase the margin. H1 and H2 margin that we had seen here. It should be kind of something like 2 rems. Okay, now it looks good. One thing that I noticed is that the font size of our page is kind of lower than the font size of SpaceX, so yeah, we need to increase that. For H2 specifically, for H2s, for our page it is 24, it should be 36. For H1 it's fine, it's already 34. So I'll select H2s, or I can do one thing. I can do H1 comma H2 over here, save it. Just better spacing would be added to the H2s as well, but doesn't matter, I think it would look good. Crew Dragon returns from space station, and over here do we have it? Let's see if we have the letter spacing of -1. Font weight is 400. And what's for us? Let's check it. I'll just select H2 specifically because they make a huge part of our thing. Just select H2s and make the font 36. Or 38, and our font not font family. What I meant was font weight. It has to be 400. I don't think the H2s have this thing. Let's change it. No, I haven't added it to H2s. Doesn't matter. So, do we see any noticeable differences? It looks much bold actually. Font weight 400. Let's change it to iPhone X. iPhone X. Now we have a good way to compare. I'll give our text a max width of 70 VW. So that it does not go beyond 70%. Now isn't that similar? Well, this one says update, while this one says replay, but we can change that. Starship takes flight and Starship takes flight. We need to change the margin bottom. It's just not enough. The dot text bottom, it has to be 5 rems, and the left can be 2 rems. Let's see if it looks better. Now can you tell the difference? And this one, well, we have just replicated most of the SpaceX site. That's damn awesome. I think we should take it to 90%. Maybe because this goes all the way till here, but our version makes it to 5 lines. That's not good. Let's just take it to 90% or 90 viewport width. Oh, now it looks great. The only thing that bothers me here is now this thing. What do we say? The paragraphs. We have to change them to regular, and also the paragraph is going inside our button. So if I do button display block, that would be good. Display block, and I'll select paragraphs. I'll say font family, simply DDIN, and the rest of it, Arial, Verdana, sans serif. Since those are pretty similar, we just use those. Let's save it and let's check it out. Well, this has turned to display block, good. This has turned to, regular. Let's see. 16 pixels, DDIN, and uppercase, good. But this one is not DDIN, it's something else. I think it has no text transform. I'll have to do text transform none. Now let's check it. Okay, I think it's good. Line height is 1.6. that makes a difference. I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, good enough. It needs to have a margin. I think I'll add margin to the A. So I'll add margin. Margin will be, should it be 1.5 rem. I'll have to adjust the width as well. I can set the width in rems. 7 rems. I think that should be fine. Let's see. Maybe not. Oh, the thing that I've messed up here is it should be inline block. It needs no width. You can have margin and it just adjusts itself very well. Now one thing that I'm concerned about is its margin. It's kind of big. I just want this paragraph to have a margin bottom. Actually it has it by default, but since we removed it, margin bottom of 1 rem, this doesn't need to have this large of a margin. It can be 0.5 rem, and I'll remove this width, save it, and see where it goes. We are pretty close, I think. Pretty close. We're just going to get this done. I'll be just so happy, Well, now the only thing that remains, I think, is to adjust this image since it has some margin in the original one. See here, the black border. It's not a border, actually, it's some margin, and we have to allow this second one to overflow, because see here, it just keeps on overflowing and it expands. I think we can do what should we do? Let's think about it. Let's handle this one first because it's simple. We can just add a margin of 1, whatever, I think 1 rem would be enough. But how do we select that? The 6th one, I'll copy this, paste it here, change it to 6, and in there, what do we have in there? I'll have to check it. So we have a div class called image, and it has an image in there. And then we have a div class called image and an image in there. The second one, I mean the 7th one. So I'll just select the dot call img. That's our div, and it should have a padding of 0.7 rems. Let's see how it looks. It goes on the left side but not on the right side. Control Shift C. Well, it goes outside. So what I'll do is simply overflow hidden. Save it. overflow hidden. It works good, but that padding does not work well. So I'll just select the image and give it a margin of 0.7 rems. After I've given it a margin, it just overflows, so I'll give it a width of 90%. Okay, now I can just can I do margin 0 auto? For that, this thing needs to be positioned relatively. Instead of that, I'll do, what if we position it relatively? Position relative or we'll do something else. We'll do text line center. Okay, now it has aligned the image in the center. I'll do margin 1 rem. Now it looks good. Margin 1 rem, width 90%, and text line center has done it all. Now since we are done with this image, we'll have to handle the last one. Now the last image, we'll see what its width is and everything. Section panel row. I'll select it and I'll have to see what the column image covers so it fits properly. Now what we need to do here is simply remove the image width cap that we had put in the first place. Here, remove it, save it, and let's see. Where is the last image? Okay, it is spanning all over the place. Well, what should we do? What should we do? I'll position it to cover. I'll copy this, paste it, or you can duplicate it. I'll select the 7th one, and the image, it should be what should be. So we have a column image over here. I can just remove it and I can give it a background by using CSS. Background URL image, and it should be home moon. Okay, now I'll remove the margin and width. I'll say background, all the background position and background size. I'll just copy it, paste it, save it, and check it. Where does it go? No, it's not covering it well. I'll just say that max width is 100 viewport width, and I'll go to the end and check it. I'll also have to select the image. Something's not right. how did I work with these? What did I do? Remember. I just positioned them as the background, and that just worked. We'll have to handle this then, okay? Later. Not in this video, later. Well, I fixed that. Now the thing, there's just a bit of problem that the text comes on the picture, but that looks good. But if you don't want that, then you can do the end of type thing and just put the margin up there. But everything else works fine. And now the thing that I was doing wrong, which was causing this image to just go haywire, was that I hadn't removed the original img tag from here. I should have removed that. I had commented it, but it didn't work. I had to remove it. Then I removed it and it started working. Now the one more change that I did there was that I'll come here. I had put the height in terms of VW, that's viewport width. That's not actually wrong, but yes, height should be just in terms of viewport height. That's the point, right? It should be just so logical. If you put height in terms of width, then if you increase your width, then it's going to increase the height of the content, which is not at all logical. So don't do that. Really, don't do that. And I'll remove this. So yes, that's it. I just positioned it relative. I don't think this is important. I'll comment it out and see what changes. Go to the end. It doesn't matter at all. It's just relative by default, right? Actually it's not, but yeah. Well, then we'll have to just give a margin to this, margin top. It's not good to give exceptions, but yes, in this case, instead of an exception, I'll just say the last para. The last para needs a top margin. What I'll do here is simply select dot text colon nth of type. I think I can do last. I don't know if it works or not. I just put it. Then the nth of type last. I'll do a margin. I'll just do a display none to check if it works. Well, last doesn't work. Nth of type, I'll do 7. Still doesn't work. Dot text, div dot text, section dot panel dot call text. So I have a div dot call text and I have a div dot text in it. So I'll just select the 7th panel and then a call text and a div dot text and display change to none. What's the issue? End of type none, end of type 7. Hey, it works. Like I just did this thing, div dot text last of type display none. Now instead of display none, I'm going to do margin top of firearms, save it, and go to the end. I think we need more margin. Let's inspect it first. It has more margin, but it's not interacting with this column image because it's positioned, what do we say, absolutely. So I can do margin bottom negative. So margin bottom. So well, yes. So here we are finished with our footer, and I'll just show you the code and we'll be done. So the code is here. So I have done footer text align center. But just before that, we'll have to go with the HTML. In the HTML, use the semantic footer tag. That's good. You know, it improves the accessibility a lot. Then after, in the footer tag, you just place a P, that's a paragraph tag, and in that you place a span tag, so that you can just, you know, select it and style it. And then you just place all the A tags. I've changed their hrefs just to hash, so they just don't go anywhere, and put the Twitter, YouTube, everything that you know, SpaceX has on their site. So after that is done, we come to our CSS, and here we have text align center on the footer, and then we have selected the footer paragraph link, that's footer PA, and done the text decoration none, text transform uppercase, and the border is none, because the border had to be, you know, changed to none. I mean, we have overwritten the border, okay, because here we had selected all the A tags in the button section and given it a border and a padding. We have to remove that now. So border should be none, padding 0, so that overwrites that for us. And then we select the footer P and span, change its color to 979797, so it's kind of a grayish, you know, copyrighty color. And then you do display block to put it on its own line. So we go here and check this out. Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Flickr, privacy policy. Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Flickr, LinkedIn, privacy policy. Oh, the order of Flickr and LinkedIn. Anyways, that does not matter. It looks just as awesome. See here. Oh yeah, I'll have to just do this. Now it looks better. Well. Oh, now you're done with the mobile site. Congrats. Here we are done with our video. Now I hope that this video helped you learn something new, and you might have improved your CSS skills as well. So if you like this video, hit the like button, and if you want more such videos, then do subscribe and hit the notification bell. So see you in the next one.